Facebook is offering to pay its female staff in America up to £13,000 to freeze their eggs. Tech rival Apple will also offer the perk to its employees from January.
The company says it wants to empower women at the firm, but some see the offers as a way to keep female staff working for longer.
Well, joining us to discuss this now is Dr. Robert Foreman, Medical Director at the Centre for Reproductive Medicine, Anne Watson, the Chief Operating Officer and soon-to-be CEO at Centre Group, which promotes and develops engineering skills, and Lucy Mangan, the author and Guardian columnist. Lucy, to you first, is this empowering women?
It's a very vexed issue. My first worry would be that if a company's offering this, there's more in it for the company than there is for the women. And it suggests to me that it's a way of extracting the last few good years out of their experienced staff by offering them what is essentially, I think, from the statistics as I understand them, a sort of false hope that they can then go on and have the babies later.
Well, let's ask Dr. Robert Foreman about that. Is it a false hope that if you freeze your eggs, you can then delay as long as you want to and as long as your career progression decides?
Well, it's all down to age. If you're in your late 20s or early 30s, when you freeze your eggs, you actually would have a very good chance of having a baby at any later stage that you chose. If, however, you're already in your late 30s and particularly in your early 40s, then the chances are going to be very much less.
I mean, this seems generous, but it really is the company saying don't have children now, wait, isn't it, and carry on working for us.
I think what Apple and Facebook are giving to women is a personal choice. I think it's laudable that they're looking at innovative ways to recruit and retrain women in their workforce. And at the end of the day...
Don't you think it's a bit like saying, well, don't go out to the dry cleaner, he's a free dry cleaner, or Richard Branson's offer on, you know, as much holiday as you like, provided you've done all your work. It's another way of slave driving, isn't it?
I don't believe it is. I think it's another way of those organisations removing boundaries and obstacles that women may feel are in their way. It's personal choice.
Their business?
It is for their business, and
no, is it their business? That's what I'm asking.
I think it's their business to do what's right for their employees, and I'm assuming that both Apple and Facebook have conducted research with their employees to see if this is something they actually want. It's one of a number of different business benefits that they've announced today, including additional maternity leave.
And they are actually very progressive, particularly in the US, in terms of their maternity and paternity policies, aren't they? But they do need to do something to attract more women, Lucy, don't they? Because when you look at the figures, OK, Facebook has Sheryl Sandberg as a leading voice for women, but 70% of their global staffers are male, 85% of the tech workers and 77% of the management team are men. And it's a similar story at Apple, isn't it? So isn't this a way of trying to attract more women into those high-profile roles?
Yes, but it's a tiny sop at the end of a very, very long filter. It's a bit like the amount of attention that gets given to Oxbridge injustices every year after the A-level results come out. And you think, yes, those people should have got in, but it's actually, it's distracting attention from all these many, many years of inequality that goes on before that and starts the, a filter process that Oxbridge or, big tech companies can't then just undo in a few well-chosen measures. You have, but you actually do have to start somewhere rather than just give this very grandiose gesture that actually doesn't cost them very much. It's a few £1,000s, which in Google and Apple and that kind of terms is not.
I mean, Dr. Foreman, do you get women coming to you saying explicitly, I'd like to freeze some eggs because I think if I have a child now, it will hold me back in my career?
Well, yes, we do, but because we're seeing it from the other side, what we see is a lot of women coming along when they've reached a stage in their career where they feel that they can comfortably have a baby, but in their biology, they've gone past the stage where they can have a baby. So when we're seeing women of 41 or 42 that come to either freeze their eggs or have treatment, their chances are going to be pretty
So you'd
poor.
see this as an insurance if people have got the option?
I think this is like a health insurance policy, and it's a health insurance policy that perhaps you wouldn't want to use, the same as, no one wants to have heart disease and have to have heart surgery. People would want to have babies in the natural way, in their own timing, but this just gives them that extra option.
But Anne Watson, how do you think this would work if a woman joins Facebook or Apple, she gets given the money, she has her eggs frozen, then she leaves the company? What happens then?
I think that's something that obviously Apple and Facebook need to think through. It is a very complex issue because it is very personal to that individual. I'm sure that they wouldn't have made the announcements today without actually having looked at that due diligence and what some of those aspects could potentially mean.
Lucia, you work for The Guardian, which has a reputation of being a very progressive organisation. Do you think this proposal would get through The Guardian? Would it be accepted?
I think there would be certain initial attraction, whether we... Oh, I'm going to get myself into so much trouble here. Can I plead the fifth?
Well, I suppose what I'm saying is that it seems to me this is a slightly old-fashioned idea about having children and working, that delaying it is a good idea, and that perhaps a later stage of feminism would not stand by that.
I think the whole problem is it does nothing to genuinely change a corporate culture that says, and this is really going to hurt you non-Guardian people, that says that we are all now fundamentally, we're all economic units. Our job in life is just to produce as much money and as much growth and as much of that kind of stuff as possible, and then consume as much as possible. And we lose more and more the idea that having a family is actually quite valuable, and raising another generation, perpetuating the species, has its own rewards, and that can be a good thing too. Everything becomes subordinated to the corporate needs.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Well, let's take a look at the weather here now. And most